All right, welcome back. Hope everyone had a good lunch. We are going to get into why do you do that? Why does he do that? Why does she do that? You see, it is our differences that attract us to each other. And then they drive us nuts. Why can't you do this more like me? Why can't you do that more like me? Why can't you be more like me? Because he ain't you. Now this is a program. It is called the Flag Page, and this is by Larry Bellotta, and it focuses on things in a different way. If you look at most contemporary marriage counseling, if you look at the statistics on them, marriage counseling fails 80+% of the time. So imagine, if you would, going to the doctor, 80% of the patients come out. That's contemporary marriage counseling. And it's not that much better in the church. Sometimes it's equally as bad, because a lot of times the ministers have only taken one class on it, and they have to do it by default, and it sucks the life out of them. So why does it have over an 80% failure rate? Because the premise is wrong. When you go in there and they want to focus on what's wrong with you. Well, don't you know that it's wrong to do that? Don't you know doing wrong is wrong? The premise starts off with what's wrong with you, not with this. This focuses on what is right about you. And how this works is actually 3 steps. It's actually 5 steps. But the first step is it gives you a bunch of words. It gives you up to 56 words. And each word, if you highlight it, it has a little definition beside it. And this is something that you have to do online. And if you decide to do it, don't worry. This is not a personality test. They don't care what your personality is. What they're trying to gauge is what you love most about life. So you go to the flag page, and you have to buy a flag. It used to be $10. It's actually $24.95 or $25. But that's what we did. And to give you a little background, we have been married for 25 years. I may have said that earlier. I don't remember. That's in the past. I already forgot about it. But we've been married for 25 years. Has it all been sunshine and rainbows? No, it has not. There was even a time in our marriage where we were more like roommates than we were husband and wife. And there was a lot of arguing. We got through it. And we are a lot better now than we were then. A lot happier now than we were then. And that's what sparked me to want to do this, because it was amazing. I got to learn a lot about myself I didn't know about myself, as well as know what makes my wife tick. Now, with these 56 words, the first part that you have to do is you highlight it. If it describes you, you click it. If it doesn't describe you, you don't click it. If you're not sure if it describes you or not, you don't click it. And this is not you wish you were. It is not that. If it describes you, click it. Even if the description you feel is bad. If it's you click it. And then it goes to the next one. I hope that, okay, that actually comes off a little bit better than what I can see back there. But then every single one that you pick that describes you, it brings you to this screen. It has a bunch of little circles underneath it. And it goes from 1 to 10. 10, you feel absolutely wonderful about how it describes who you are. And you'll click 8, 9, or 10 because it makes you feel really good. And of course, conversely, on the other side of it, if you really hate how it describes you, you're only going to put 1, 2, or 3. And then after this section, after you rate it, it's going to bring you to the A, B, C, D, and E. And all the chose really high that make you feel really good about its description is going to want you to rate them to your top 5 most important things. A being the most important, B the next, C the next, D the next, and then E. And after that happens, it's going to flash up this page. It's going to look similar to this. And I'm not going to show you up there because I don't want you to quite see it yet. But it's going to look a lot like this. It's going to tell you why you act what you act, why you do what you do, and what you love most about life. What are your 5 main motivations? And it breaks you up into different temperament categories. And they call these categories countries. And as we know, being from different countries, things are looked at in a different manner. For instance, let's take England and America and Australia and Canada. Well, what's the common denominator there? We all speak English. But as we know, if we go to some of these other places, words can have a very, very different meaning. For instance, the one guy who was describing this at the time, he said he went to England and he was there talking and stuff, and then afterwards he's playing around with the kids and he's chasing the kids around, and then he says, "Come here, you little bugger." The parents got upset. And then they went over there and picked up their kid, and then they ran out. And he's like, "What happened?" And the guy's like, "Well, over here, a bugger means a homosexual." And he's like, "Well, that's not what it means in America." "Well, it doesn't matter. You're not in America." Go explain that to them. But they weren't having any of it. They remained mad with him. And then you had George Bush, who went to Australia, and he's in his motorcade. He's waving to all the Australian people. The problem is the hand gesture he was using in Australia meant the same thing as flipping someone off. And he had to apologize later on. So when we go through these different countries, you're going to see that each country I refer to has a very unique thing specific to them that other countries just don't really understand. Okay? So we're going to have a game. I wasn't able to get anybody to be able to con them into doing this, to where we come up here and I could talk to them about their flag a little bit. So we're going to do mine, and we're going to do Jen's. I want I have up here 4 different countries. These are the 4 countries that you could possibly be broken into. Control, fun, perfect, and peace. And the game is you're going to have to try to decide which country I come from. So let's take a look at the countries. You have the square country of control. These are the get her done people. Let's get her done. Let's accomplish as much as we can. These are the ones that love their favorite vehicle, the bulldozer. You know, got to get it done. Don't mind who they're killing in the process. Is we got to get this done. Some of their key words are grasp, control, appreciate, accomplish, achieve. And the main thing that they want is appreciation for what they do, for what they accomplish. That's their biggest desire. And then you have the star country of fun. Their favorite vehicle is the jet plane. You know, these are the type of people that tend to run into walls and laugh about it, and then get up and do it again. There's actually a lady who she was talking to these people, and she was on a train, and she was describing to them how it took her 9 hours in Rhode Island to get to her hotel. It only takes about 30 seconds to drive across Rhode Island, but it took her 9 hours to get to the hotel. And she's talking to total strangers, and she don't care. She said, well, when we got there, it was amazing because we saw the biggest, fullest moon we've ever seen. And everybody's being drawn in like, whoa. And she's like, what I realized is the next morning when we got up, it turned out to be a large lamp outside our room. And that's kind of what fun people are. They don't care about telling these big embarrassing stories or just listening. That doesn't matter. It's all look at me, look at me, look at me. Some of their favorite words are fun, a great time, funny, happy. And the thing they want, the thing they desire most is approval for how they act. And then we have the diamond-shaped country of perfect. These are the type of people who like to get it right. Let's do it right. Let's get it right the first time. Their favorite vehicle is the train. As long as this track stays exactly the same distance away from this track. Perfect people, a lot of times, will be your best creative people, your best artists, your best inventors. And a lot of times in the workplace, they are your best workers. Because these are the type of people who like to follow the manual to a T. If there were perfect people on the Titanic, while everybody else is screaming, oh, we're going to die, we're going to die. The ones that are staying up there, making sure that the lawn chairs stay where they're supposed to stay. Because it was in the manual. You got to abide by the manual. Do you know a lot of the manuals that are written by people from perfect country? A lot of the things you drive, a lot of the vehicles you drive, the planes you fly, and I promise you, if I'm flying in a plane at 35,000 feet, I really hope the person who built that plane was from perfect country. I would really hate the plane to be made by someone from fun country, because there's a good chance it might not survive. Now, what is different about people from perfect country is what they want most is for people to be sensitive to their feelings, which is really hard to do and really hard to comprehend because they're always the ones throwing, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. But that is the way perfect people actually show love. If they didn't show love by telling you what you're doing wrong, they'll just let you run into the wall. The problem with that is they sling all these darts, but they can't take it when it's thrown back at them. And with perfect people, they don't get over things very well. They don't. A lot of kids who are perfect kids end up with the scars that can last them into childhood and sometimes even for the rest of their life. And some of their keywords are right, details, perfect. And then we have the cloud country of peace. Peace country people, their favorite vehicle is the gondola on nice, calm, serene waters. You might see down in that little corner right there a person laying in a hammock mowing the lawn. To them, that's not laziness, that's efficiency. Some of their keywords are no hassle, low maintenance, respect, smart. If you ever heard the phrase, work smarter, not harder, it was made by a person from Peace Country. And they just want to get along. They just like to get along. And as opposed to control and fun country, see, control, you kind of know they want appreciation for what they do. Fun, they want appreciation for how they act. But peace and perfect are different. You don't really understand that. Now, for a peace person, it's to respect who they are. You know, a control person comes up to a peace person and says, you got to get more done. And they're like, okay. And a fun person says, you got to have more fun with life. They're like, okay. And a perfect person comes to them and is like, you got to do this right. And they're like, yeah, you're right. We got to do this right. You see, when one from any other country sees a peace person, they're like, there's a chance for a convert. And they try to go after him and try to turn them to the dark side, turn them to their way of thinking. But here's the problem with people from Peace Country. They can take an awful lot. If you ever heard the term broad shoulders, they can take an awful lot. And then all of a sudden, one day seemingly out of nowhere, they completely shut down on you. And you're wondering, what happened? Why did that happen? That's when you began to disrespect who they are. See, if you disrespect a control person, they will push through it. If you disrespect a fun person, they will just laugh it off. If you disrespect a peace person, they are your friend to remain your friend. When they shut down, it's rare that they open back up. So, how many of you think I come from control country? Absolutely nobody. Yes. Great. How many think I come from fun country? All right, we got a few. We got a few. How many think I come from perfect country? No one. All right. How many think I come from peace country? All right. The overwhelming decision was peace. So, are you right? Yes, you are. All right. Good job. You passed the class. Even though it's a fake class, but now it brings you up to this page, and you can see several different things on here. But when I first did this and I got the paper back, at first I thought to myself, "Oh man, I'm borderline bipolar," because the numbers were so close to each other. I have 168 on the peace side of it, off of country, but yet I have 151 from fun country. I like to have fun, and I'm very relational. I can get along with just about anyone. And then, of course, I have a perfect score of 75 and a control score of 54. And then we see next to it, it has soft and hard. And you have a blue bar, a little yellow dot, and a thing that looks like stacked bricks. That measures your soft motivations and your hard motivations. Mine is really not that far apart, relatively speaking. But I feel things deeply, and I don't mind showing it. But then again, at times, when I have to, I can easily jump over to the hard side. See, the funny thing that some people don't realize is that God has both in him. Thou shalt not is pretty hard. But then again, he forgives people some of their most egregious sins. And there's the soft side. So I have 153 on the soft, 75 on the hard, a difference of 78. Not much difference. Just a little bit. But then you have over there in the top corner, which are the 5 different motivations. The things I love most about life. The life of the party. Exciting, happy-go-lucky, center of attention. Kind of the look at me, look at me. That's who I am. And then I have thrives on encouragement, which I love to be encouraged. I really do. And then witty, being able to use words in such a way, whether it be for jokes or talking or anything like that gets people to think, and then like 5-10 seconds later, they bust out laughing because they realize what I said. And then calm. I love things to be calm. I really do. And then faithful. Now, what you do after you get these 5 motivations, there's 2 more things you have to do. You get to define your terms. So for life of the party, I get to go to the book, and this is actually the book here, and it is by Mark Gungor. It is Discover Your Heart. This goes along with Larry Bellata's program, and it has all the definitions and stuff in the back of it. And you get to look at their definitions, and then it wants you to create your own. What does that motivation mean to me? And then I define the term. And then the last step, after I define the terms for the motivations, I get to make my top 5 rules for feeling loved. And when you do this, and you do the rules, and you define your terms, and you make your rules, and your spouse abides by them, it is impossible to go wrong. If you want to have a bad marriage, start criticizing their top 5 motivations. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. Let's look at Jen's. Remember how I said things tend to be opposite with people? People from peace country like things to be calm. People from fun country are the ones to do the belly flops in the pool. She is from fun country. Now, her soft and hard motivations. She is 169 on the soft side, only 15 on the hard. That's the difference of 154. So what that means is, for me, is I better get hard when I need to, when it comes to disciplining kids or whatever the situation is. If I have to switch to the hard motivations, I better be the one to do it. Because if she's the one that has to jump into the hard side of the motivations, it's like watching The Incredible Hulk. You're not going to like what happens. I'm talking use a bomb to kill a fly. Use a nuke to kill a cockroach. This is serious. And why do they do that? And then people start, it's like, what happened? The reason that really soft-hearted people go so ballistic is they don't want to be there in the first place. And they're trying to get back to the soft side. And the best way they know how to do that is make everything explode. But then she's also got the top five motivations. Hers is loves people, cheerful, faithful, which was a good one because that's also in top 5 motivations. So we can use that as an anchor point. And then a great sense of humor, which she has an absolutely amazing sense of humor. And especially when she decides to laugh at my jokes. And she likes to have fun. So if I was to want to hurt our marriage, all I have to do is begin to criticize her top 5 motivations. And then it'll start tearing away at her heart. That is the why does he do that? Why does she do that? And now we're going to get into this section, and we're going to be taking a break here in a little bit. Before we fully get into the number one key to incredible sex, I need to preface this so you kind of get an understanding of where I'm coming from. So imagine, if you will, you're a pilot. I don't know if any of you have flown any planes other than just riding in them as a passenger. But let's say, for instance, you're traveling from Houston to Lake Charles. So you're facing due east. And I picked this direction. I originally said Lake Charles to Houston, but then I would have had to start talking like this. And I didn't want to do that. So Houston is that way. Lake Charles is that way. So we're going to focus this way. So you go up and you start your heading by facing the plane towards Lake Charles. Well, the problem is, let's say you have a big southern breeze coming up, blowing from the south. And you keep your direction heading towards Lake Charles, you're going to end up in Monroe or Shreveport because you didn't adjust for the variables. A lot of times with pilots, depending on what the variables of wind are in the sky, they're flying at odd directions to go straight. I want to show you how to get from point A to point B. And we'll cover some of the different variables that there might be. We don't have time to cover them all. You just have to use your best intelligence, your best wisdom in this. Okay? So Why do I have the moral stands that I do? Why do I believe um, that you should wait to have sex and save it for the confines of marriage? Some of them would say, oh, well, that's because you go to church and God tells you to do that, so you have to obey what God tells you. Yes, that's absolutely true, but that's not why I believe that. Will I abide by it? Yes. But why I believe that is not because God said so. I believe it because as see, God is not a prude. Okay, He's seen you naked. He can handle it. Okay. Now the reason why God you to save it for marriage, because if you don't save it in the confines of marriage, you run a very, very big risk of messing things up. Well, what do I mean? Have you ever seen cranes, baby cranes being born? And they're not the brightest things in the box. And it tends to be the first things that they see tends to be their mama. So if a crane is born and there's a chicken there, the crane's going to follow the chicken instead of following mama. That's why a lot of times these people on these nature shows and stuff will get dressed up in these really ridiculous outfits, because there's a thing called imprinting. And the way imprinting works for a guy, if it's outside the context of marriage, where it's lust-based and fantasy-based and in the back seat of a car or in a hotel, the boy tends to imprint on the sex. Now, if a boy decides to wait until marriage and they have this big event and all his friends are there and his friends approve and his family approve and they're in the church and the God approves, and then on their wedding night, for the first time, he's having these first experiences and he's taking pictures and he's imprinting now. And he connects to the girl at a very, very deep level. That's why the divorce rate is a fraction of them who did not wait to have sex or marriage. The divorce rate on average is a little bit over 50% in our society today. It is less than 10% for those who waited for marriage before they had sex. Now, women also imprint as well, but women imprint in a different way. They do not imprint on the sex, they imprint on what happens after the sex. And outside the scope of marriage, nothing happens after sex. There's no follow-up, there's no nothing, and she imprints that sex means nothing. But if she waits until her wedding night and sees exactly how this affects the boy, she imprints that this means everything. So we're going to go through this, and everybody's variables are going to be different. And another thing with the ladies to an area of imprinting. Um, there's a chemical that is released that is called oxytocin. Women who have had several different partners begin to release less and less and less oxytocin. They don't even get the same buzz they used to. Now, oxytocin is known as the bonding chemical. It is what is released when a woman breastfeeds her baby. It helps her bond with the baby. Well, oxytocin also helps bond with the boy. So, we got the top 5 things there. We're going to start at number 5, and we are going to work our way all the way up to number 1. So, number 5, romance. You have to be romantic. Be a lover to the girl. You know, the main thing that has me fundamentally angry at our culture today is this whole ordeal with pornography. Now, the main fundamental reason for me is it changed men. It's changing our society today because men used to be a lover to the girl. But because of pornography, a lot of them are turning into self-centered pigs. You need to learn how to romance the girl. He says, how delightful is your love, my bride. How much more pleasing is your love than wine, and the fragrance of your perfume more than any spice. This was a man who knew how to talk to a woman. I'm sure you've all seen this in one way, shape, or other. Desire equals arousal, or leads to arousal, which leads to sex. The problem is, it is not true for millions of people. Interviewing couples and stuff, found out that a lot of women show zero to any desire to have sex unless they're currently there doing it. So guys, don't worry if she doesn't have the desire. You have to learn to awaken it in her. You have to know how to talk to the girl. And then we have number 4, foreplay. And then you see that wonderful little phrase on the side, climb the palm tree. What do I mean by that? In Solomon 7:7, your stature is like a palm tree, and your breasts are like its clusters. And I said, I will climb the palm tree, and I will take its fruit stalks. What he's saying is, you have to learn how to climb the palm tree. You have to learn how to romance the girl. See, a lot of us guys are lazy. We just want to run in there with a cherry picker and grab the coconuts. Because why? Because men are lazy. We get that urge in the morning time and we're like, hey, you awake? Hey, come on, help me out. Don't be a moron. You have to learn how to climb the palm tree. You have to learn how to be a lover to the girl. For instance, one thing you can do, one thing that I did. I think I have my phone in my pocket. That's not it. But I want to show you something. Of course, you can't see it, so I'm going to read it to you. And when we started going through this, I was one thing I myself like to do when I have free time, and it just kind of hits me in my head, is I like writing poetry. That's one thing I like doing. And I was actually at work, working on a big job. Actually, my helper was working on a big job. I was there watching. And I was like, you know what? I said, I'm going to go send her something. I want to send her something. So this is what I sent her. If you are looking for forever, I will take the batteries out of our clocks. So we will be stuck inside this moment as if time had really stopped. I would tell you I love you every second, except here, seconds do not exist. So I will say I love you with each breath, smile with each kiss. And when I die, you can crank your watch, restart your clocks, begin the time, and know that we were infinite in the moment you were mine. That was one of the best things I could have ever sent her. But you have to learn. You have to talk to the girl. Matter of fact, one of the things you can do is the next time she's taking a shower, get one of the towels while she's in the shower. Put it in the dryer for 5 minutes. And then when she gets out of the shower, you don't have to do anything more than that. Just leave her sit there and dry off and go about your business. You know, talk to the girl, leave her alone. Flirt with the girl, leave her alone. Touch the girl, leave her alone. Guys, you don't have to immediately get fulfilled whenever that desire hits you, because it's God's reminder. Be nice to the girl. Be nice to the girl. You know, turn it into a 24-hour event. I call it slow roasting your woman. And then she needs time. So let's look at this. How beautiful you are, my darling. Oh, how beautiful your eyes behind your veil are doves. Your hair is a flock of goats descending from the hills of Gilead. Your teeth are like of sheep, just shorn, coming up from the washing. Each has its twin, not one of them is alone. Your lips are like a scarf. Your mouth is lovely. Your temples behind your veil are like the of a pomegranate. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built with courses of stone. On it hang 1,000 shields, all of them shields of warriors. Your breasts are like 2 fawns, like twin fawns of a gazelle that bring the lilies. And what does he say? Until the dawn breaks, or until the day breaks and the shadows flee. In other words, all night long. What would he do all night long? I will go into the hill of incense. Well, Mike, where exactly is that? Well, if you go into the back of the Bible and you look at all those maps of the Holy Land, you will not find the mountain of myrrh or the hill of incense. So let's think it through. He talks about her eyes. He talks about her breasts. Where do you think Myrrh Mountain is? And the wild thing is, he's there all night long. Which brings me to a very, very sensitive subject in regards to time. I was watching a show, and the show was about, they had these ladies on there, and it's, why can't we reach orgasm? Why do we have such a problem to reach orgasm? Why is this, oh, why are we so bad? And then it goes to a commercial. And on some of the shows, they ask questions, teasers to kind of keep you so you stay on that station. Well, the question was, what's the average length of, what's the average sexual length of a man's experience? A, 2 minutes, B, 10 minutes, or C, 20 minutes. And then it went to commercial. And it came back. And you know what the answer was? D, A, 2 minutes. Well, right there we have a problem. If it takes a woman anywhere from 7 to 14 minutes, and you're done in 2 minutes, seems like we've got ourselves a math problem. Now, guys, we can do better than the 2-minute drill. There are a lot of books and a lot of exercises you can do. I like exercises, but these exercises I can do. But ladies, you have to realize the number one key to help a man get past the 2-minute drill is regular, consistent sex. Second, she needs privacy. She needs to know that her lovemaking to you is safe and private. She's probably not going to be in the mood if you have dinner guests over. Okay? Let us go early to the vineyards to see if the vines have budded, if their blossoms have opened, and if the pomegranates are in bloom. There I will give you my love. The safe place, the safe place, the private place. And that all leads us up to the number one key to incredible sex, which I will get to after this break. So this will be our final break, and then after this we'll have our last session, and